It's very dark in here. Looks much lighter from the back. So how you guys doing? I know you're gonna be going to bed soon, right? Your bedtime is like at 10:30. I know. I've been here before. 10:30. So I'm a millennial. I can probably tell some of you are also millennials, which is probably why you got into some trouble. So naturally, you know, we're a problem generation. But we were raised with toys like all the rest of the generations. My parents used to like to buy me Barbie dolls, but they never got me the one that I really wanted, which was Serial Killer Barbie. Thank you. I know you wanted one too. But you know, she was too expensive. The body parts were sold separately. As a kid, I used to think that Barbie had everything. But as an adult, I'm like, I'm better. I have nipples. I'm pretty sure that Barbie was definitely created by a devout Christian because she's had the same boyfriend for like 50 years and her knees don't bend. Thank you. I learned a lot from Ken. You know, like he taught me what it's like to pull off a guy's pants and feel disappointed. When I was a kid growing up, I wasn't a fan of anything musical, so I personally didn't like a lot of Disney stuff, you know? Like, I hated Little Mermaid. I did, however, you know, I watched The Little Mermaid, and I was cool with Ursula because she made that girl Ariel, like, just shut the fuck up. I'm pretty sure, though, that The Little Mermaid was definitely written by a guy. Because only a guy would take away a woman's voice and then replace it with a vagina. Sleeping Beauty taught me that even if I just lay there, my prince will come. We're on the same page. Same page in the book. So, I don't know about you people, but you know, I was raised by a family who never lied to me about the world. They were very like honest about dark things. I remember one time I was watching the news with my dad. I was young, little, maybe 7, and they were talking about rape. And I asked him, I was like, Daddy, what's rape? What does this mean? And he was like, well, it's when a human forces another human into doing something they don't want to do. Like your mother forced me into marrying her.
Yeah.
I'm originally from Long Island, New York. Yeah, I can tell some of you are probably from the East Coast. You're not afraid to laugh. You don't give a fuck. But eventually my family, they moved over to Arizona, which was like a huge culture shock because for the first time I was surrounded by these people who were like the Brady Bunch. They were called Mormons. And my family couldn't be anything more polar opposite than a Mormon. My family is like the Addams Family meets the Sopranos. Yes. So when I was in school, the little Mormon Xerox-faced kids used to always ask me what religion I was, and I had to be honest. I was like, well, I'm a fake Catholic. It's true. When I was about 13 years old, I was looking at this calendar, and it had the Virgin Mary at the top. I was like, hey, Mom, what's a virgin? She was like, oh, don't worry about it. It's something you won't be for very long. My father has a very interesting opinion when it comes to abortions. He thinks that if the father is a doctor or a lawyer, then it's a baby. But if not, feel free to try again next time. Game over. So my little brother, you're gonna love this. My little brother has really great skin, right? Which is super ironic because he does a lot of meth. I don't know, we're gonna bond here. So, my brother's a meth head. Well, actually, he does every drug in the book you can imagine. My brother has a girlfriend, or had a girlfriend, that was a heroin addict too. He likes that too. And she went into a Walmart bathroom like a month ago because she thought she had to pee really badly, and wasn't the case. Out popped a kid. I know. I wish I was making that up, but I'm not like that screwed up in the head. So I'm pretty sure that when the baby came out, it was thinking, this toilet bowl looks so much better than being stuck inside of this bitch. My father lets my brother and this girl, junkie, live with him. Why, I don't know, but I went home to visit them a couple of months ago and I walked in and I was like, wow, this house is clean. My dad was like, yeah, you know, whenever she's on meth, she cleans everything. Sweeps the sink, organizes everything. Really got me thinking. I don't like doing any of that stuff, cleaning. She could totally come live with me in LA. You know? Like, I'll supply the meth. I heard it's cheap. And I'm gonna have my very own live-in meth maid. In fact, I decided that I'm gonna start my very own business and call it Meth Maids. Because if you can't fix someone who loves meth, then you might as well make a profit. Yeah, I already thought of my slogan. It goes, Meth Maids, we get your houses 10 times cleaner because we only hire tweakers. It's going to be open 24 hours a day, obviously. So a couple of months ago, my brother almost died. And I can say that like with a straight face because he's literally OD'd like 9 times. Like he's basically crack cat, you know? But this time it was because of heroin. He used a bad, gross needle and he got an infection in his heart. So he had to be on these antibiotics for a couple of months. So I went and I visited him in like whatever place he was at that time. And I asked him, I said, you know, I don't really understand like why you do all of this stuff. Like maybe you should go see a shrink a couple of times a week because clearly rehab doesn't work. He's already done that like 5 times. I was like, why don't you go see a shrink and like figure out what the root of your problem is? And he was like, I'm just bored. I do meth and heroin because I'm bored. I was like, okay. Then there was this other guy that was next to him, right? And my mother was like, oh yeah, he's pretty nice. He's got like a mohawk. And he's in there for the same reason too. He got that disease, the infection, because his girlfriend attacked him with a machete. He was trying to burn the house down. So she attacked him with a machete. And this girlfriend and him still talk. Like she visits him. I'm like, oh my God, like this woman, he must really love her. Like she tried to murder him with a machete. Like I can't even hold a guy for an entire week. Like maybe I should start attacking them with machetes. Yeah. I'll get a ring and a house. My maybe that's the key. So, I love my mother, but like my mother likes to complain about things always. Like whenever we would go to Disneyland, she'd be like, "Oh my God, my feet are killing me, right? But nobody feels sorry for me. They all feel sorry though for the people who are in wheelchairs. Boo-hoo. They get to spend the entire day at the park sitting on their ass. Then they get to roll up to Goofy and get his autograph first. You know what? I don't like Disney and I think it's stupid because the dogs and the mice walk upright. I'm Catholic. I don't support evolution." Then I gotta go on this one ride. It's called It's a Small World. All these yakking puppets. And they're supposed to represent people from all around the world. But all these little puppets have the same face. They all look like little white supremacists. My dad told us that It's a Small World is such a boring ride that some guy killed himself on it. And he heard that the hand was still floating in the water. And he told us that we should look for it because he heard that the wedding band is on it, so it's probably worth money. Yeah, my father really likes money, and that's my dad's thing. He's also like taught me like all my life that everyone is always out to get me. So I've always had problems trusting people. Like whenever I was hooking up with a guy in college, I couldn't help but think, "Oh my God, like is there some sort of a hidden video camera in here?" Because if there was some amateur porno of me that ended up on the internet, I know my dad would be livid if I wasn't getting a cut. I got offered to do porn one time in college. I was like, "No, there's no residuals." I mean, gotta think about that. You have to make a good business decision. It's not gonna last forever. Can't get beaten forever. It's true. It's just a joke, seriously. It's dark. I don't know who's laughing or who's not. I really don't care. Not matter. It's hard for me to adapt to like the fact that everyone is so politically correct these days and offended by everything. I wasn't really raised to be politically correct. Like my mother used to say stuff like, "Oh, you know, the people up the block, God, that woman doesn't know how to parent. She's always drunk. But it's not her fault she's Irish." So a couple of years ago, I got ghosted, and it was after like a couple of months. And I really didn't care though, because this guy was always taking Ambien. And yeah, he used to like ask me to listen to forced music with him when he was on Ambien. But I take Adderall so I can focus on myself. It's like low dosage meth. It's legal meth. It's okay meth. And and I knew something was up because he told me he was gonna come to one of my shows, and when he didn't show up, I was like, "Oh, he's probably with another girl." So I went snooping through his social media, and sure enough, I found her, and she's one of these girls that I can't stand. She's like 50,000 photos of herself with Snapchat puppy filter. Yeah. And she's a total crisis chick. Like her last tweet was, "My boyfriend broke up with me, I want to commit suicide." I'm like, "Look, you work for Nike, just do it." Represent the brand. I met this other guy and he told me that he doesn't have any feelings. I was like, "Cool, we can always focus on mine." So you guys have been a really wonderful crowd. I think you're gonna enjoy the rest of the show, but I really want to leave you on like a really light note. So you have great dreams at your 10:30 bedtime. If I were going to commit suicide, I would definitely go to the tallest building in Beverly Hills and throw myself off, so I can land on someone rich, you know, make my dad proud. And I'd wear a bungee cord so I could do that shit multiple times. Thank you so much. I'm Jaclyn Passaro.